How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse and I am back for another comic book video. In this video, I'm going to be doing something that I've been musing about for some time now, and that would be the healing factor in the Marvel comic books. Now, Deus Ex Machina is a commonplace in comic books where a hero has no chance of winning, yet somehow he wins in the end. Deus Ex Machina can come in all different shapes and forms, and for a number of individuals, that's the healing factor. Now, I'm going to be turning this into a two-part video. In the first part, I'm going to be discussing what essentially the healing factor is and the group of individuals who have them. And then in the next video will be a top 10 of the top 10 people in the Marvel comic books who have a healing factor. There's even a lot more than I had realized, and I found this out when I was doing the research. Now, this part is going to be a review of what the healing factor is, what it can do, because it doesn't always work the same for everybody, but this is what it has a possibility of doing, and the groups of people who have the healing factor. Now, after I do a quick review, you're going to see what I mean by groups of people, and then in the next video, it'll be the top 10 people who have the healing factor, but I'm not going to include anybody from the groups because the groups already covered them. So let's get started with this video. The healing ability or healing factor is a way to recover from bodily injuries or diseases at an accelerated or superhuman rate. Now, the healing factor itself has changed over the years. Back in the 80s, when someone like Wolverine had an injury like being stabbed with a sword, it took him several days to recover, where nowadays it would take him several minutes. The healing factor itself has evolved over the years, where there are many things that it does now that it did not used to do before. In fact, it gives you a disease immunity, so things like the AIDS, the flu, a cold, you would not be able to be affected by those. Foreign chemical immunity, so things like mustard gas or toxic chemicals that get put into the air or even injected to the body, such as drugs, will not affect a person with a healing factor. Insulated weather adaptation. This means that a character in any kind of climate can immediately adjust to the weather around it. If it's in a super cold environment, the body heals itself to resist the cold, or if you're in a more heated environment, the body heals itself to cool down, so you're able to survive in inclement weather. Telepathic resistance. Now, this one is one that I didn't know about, but apparently those with the healing factor is immune to telepathic attacks. Slowed aging or decelerated aging. The lifespans of those with the healing factor can be extended because the body constantly heals itself to keep you at a physical condition more than other people at those ages. For the example, Wolverine, I believe he's been around since about the time of the Civil War. And in some cases, it leaves you virtually immortal. If you've been reading Wolverine or Deadpool comics, Deadpool dies more than anybody else and constantly comes back from the dead. He's even stated that he is immune to death. And that is actually one of the reasons why Mistress Death is fascinated with Deadpool. But that's a basic rundown of what the healing factor allows. Now, it has a different degree in different people, slower or faster, but that is basically a rundown of what a healing factor is capable of. Now, the first two that are going to be on this list are the Hulks and the Ghost Rider. The Hulk's more in specific to those infused with gamma radiation. Now, I'm not sure if all people with gamma powers have this ability, but most of them do. And as far as I know, all the Ghost Riders have the healing factor as well, which, if you think about it, it does make sense. So let's cover those two. Now, while difficult to cause harm to the Hulk, it can be done. And the Hulk has been able to regenerate damaged or destroy areas of his body to a very high degree. In some of the alternate realities, it is shown that the Hulk has been able to lose and regain internal organs. In fact, in one of the future areas where Hulk was the Maestro, he was able to rebuild his body after being completely atomized. All of the other Hulks have the regenerated healing factors, such as She-Hulk and Red Hulk. Abomination, being gamma powered, has it. I believe A-Bomb also has an ability to regenerate, even though it's not specifically listed, because his brain started to deteriorate when he stayed the A-Bomb for too long. But the Hulks, gamma-powered beings specifically, do have the ability to regenerate. All of the Ghost Riders have a regenerative healing factor. I'll go over Johnny Blaze specifically. The Ghost Riders are immune to all conventional weapons and conventional forms of injury. He was able to be damaged from a weapon that was formed from an Archangel. If he is damaged by magic, he is instantly regenerated, and he can even regenerate lost limbs. He once had his skull destroyed, and he was able to regenerate that as well. Now, mystical creatures have the healing ability too, specifically werewolves and vampires, and we're going to go over those in this video as well. And you can rest assured that none of the vampires that I will be covering are sparkly. Now, werewolves have been around since the 1940s in the Marvel comic books. They have regenerative abilities where they can regenerate damaged body tissue or recover from gunshots. It is not fully stated on whether they can heal themselves while they are not transformed. They can when they are werewolves. Not fully sure if they can try and regenerate lost limbs. This ability hasn't really been explored. And it is not known whether the artificial werewolves have the same abilities or regenerating effect as werewolves who were bitten or who were cursed to be werewolves. Vampires have also been around in the Marvel comic book since the 1940s. The vampires cannot regenerate missing limbs or organs, but they are able to recover from multiple gunshots, and Dracula has also been able to recover from severe burns. Now, the amount of blood that they consume does directly determine how fast that they can heal. The more blood that they consume, the faster they do heal their injuries. And most vampires are virtually immortal, except for, like the stake through the heart, sunlight. Like I said, virtually immortal. The Marvel comic book does follow the lore of vampires pretty close to what the lore of vampires actually is. Now, the next three that we're going to be doing on this list are the Asgardian rock trolls, the Eternals, and the Elders of the Universe. Now, I've done the Elders of the Universe in some fashion when I did my top 10 Elders list. But let's go ahead and cover those three right now. Now, as it is for Asgardian rock trolls, they are highly resistant to injury, and they do regenerate damaged tissue or external damage rather rapidly. Of course, they are not able to regenerate missing limbs or organs. Now, I don't know if this is specific to just the rock trolls. I did try looking up other trolls, but I wasn't able to get anything on their powers. They do live a awful long time. They can live up to 1,500 years or maybe even longer. The Eternals have been around since the 1940s. Their abilities vary to a degree to which Eternal it is. They share along the same abilities, but some of them have more than others, such as speed or strength or the ability to fire out cosmic energy. Now, all the Eternals are long-lived and virtually immortal, but I cannot seem to find the full extent of their healing factor, but they do possess one. The Elders of the Universe are virtually immortal, and they were immortal for a time when death banned them from her realm. Now, I'm not sure how much the healing factor works in regards to all the Elders of the Universe, so I'm going to go over the Collector, because as I have done a Elders of the Universe video, there are a lot of them. The Collector is immune to cellular degeneration, piercing, or any kind of injury that's similar to that. He has the ability to live a long time, and this is based on the fact that he is one of the first beings that were created in the wake of the Big Bang, and he is still alive. He can regenerate lost parts of his body. He can be killed if you destroy most of his molecules. If most of his molecules are destroyed, he will stop regenerating himself. The extent to that is, as this part, unknown. I don't know how much of his body you have to destroy before he stops. And the last group, or groups I want to mention on this list, are the Asgardians and the Olympians. Now, that's what was singled out specifically when I was doing the research, but I do believe that all of the pantheons have a ability of the healing factor. I definitely know the Egyptians do. So, let's cover the gods. Gods. Deities. Have also been referred to as alien races, but I don't know how far that they've explored it onto that. I'm guessing that anything that can be classified as deities or gods would come under the classification of groups of healing factors. I know the Asgardians, such as the Vanir and the Aesir, had the regenerating healing factor. He can regenerate parts of their body that have been destroyed and regenerate limbs. The Olympians are the same, and so is the Egyptian pantheon that I have been doing some research on. So I'm just going to say that anything that can be classified as a god or a deity has the ability to regenerate. They are long-lived. Now, each one of them have their own versions of death. So I assume that they can die, but I don't know the extent of what it would take to kill them. I do know that Thor killed his brother Loki once, but Loki's back because nobody ever stays dead in the Marvel Universe, so everybody's got a healing factor. But as it goes, I'm going to say that all deities or pantheons of god creatures have a regenerating healing factor that can regenerate most, if not all, of their body when it has been destroyed. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give that like button a click as always. And stay tuned for the next part of this video, where I will be discussing some of the individuals that you might not realize have a healing factor, and some of the individuals where you go, huh, that makes sense. So, stay tuned for the next video, and until next time, I'll be seeing you.